If you are ready for change, we can start restoring a sense of fairness to our economy. You know, I was over at a plant, titanium plant, RTI. RMI, great company. Great company, and took a tour of the plant, and folks are so proud of the work that they're doing. They're creating critical materials for our airlines industries, for our defense industries. But for every one of those plants, you've had 4, 5, 6 close. And so, if you're ready for change, we can reverse that. I believe in capitalism, I believe in the free market, I believe in entrepreneurship. But there's something wrong when CEOs are making more in 10 minutes than ordinary workers are making an entire year. There's something wrong. There's something wrong when our trade policies seem to encourage jobs being shipped overseas instead of staying right here in Ohio. So if you're ready for change, we can go ahead and say to the companies, we're taking away your tax breaks if you ship jobs overseas. We're going to give those tax breaks to companies that invest right here in Youngstown and right here in Ohio. We believe in trade, but we want labor agreements and environmental agreements and safety standards so that our U.S. workers are not being undermined. We have the best workers on earth, but we've got to have a level playing field to make sure that we're fair and that we're enforcing those agreements if countries like China take advantage of them. I want to roll back those Bush tax cuts on the wealthiest Americans and start giving them to typical workers, folks who are making less than $75,000 a year. I want to give you a $1,000 offset on your payroll tax. So I believe in tax cuts. I just believe in giving tax cuts to the folks who need them. I want to make sure that Social Security is intact by raising the cap on the payroll tax. Everybody here just about is paying payroll tax on 100% of your income, but millionaires and billionaires aren't, and we need to make it fair to make sure that Social Security is solvent and stable for generations to come. I want to make sure that we are dealing with the home foreclosure crisis. People being lured into mortgages they couldn't afford. We're going to set up a $10 billion fund to make sure that people who are paying their mortgages can stay in their homes. We want to crack down on predatory lenders. We've got to improve regulation and oversight so we don't have these kinds of crises in the future. And I'm not going to raise the minimum wage every 10 years. We're going to raise it every year to keep pace with inflation, because if you work in this country, you should not be poor. And you won't be if we can work together when I'm President of the United States of America. If you're ready for change, then we can stop talking about the outrage of 47 million people without health insurance and start doing something about it. This is personal for me. My mother died of cancer when she was 53 years old. And that was hard enough, but what made it harder was watching her read insurance forms in the last months of her life, because she had just gotten a new job and the insurance company was saying, maybe there's a pre-existing condition, maybe we don't have to pay your medical bills. And I saw the worry on her face. I know what it's like to see a loved one suffer, not just because they're sick, but because of a broken healthcare system. And it's wrong. And that's why I put forward a plan that says every American will be able to get health care that is at least as good as the health care I have as a member of Congress. And you won't be excluded for pre-existing conditions. And we will negotiate with the drug companies for the cheapest available price on drugs. And we will subsidize those who can't afford it. And we will emphasize prevention so that we have a health care system instead of a disease care system. We're going to catch illnesses before they happen. And if you've got health insurance, we are going to work with your employer to lower your health insurance through a catastrophic reinsurance program, lower your cost by $2,500 per family per year. And we're not going to wait 20 years from now to do this or 10 years from now to do this. We will do this by the end of my first term as President of the United States of America. If you are ready for change, then we can offer every child in America the best education we have to offer. From the day that child is born to the day they graduate from college. We know what to do to improve our schools. The problem is that we don't have a sense of urgency about it. We look at children in the inner city and we say, oh, that's somebody else's child, somebody else's problem. We look at kids in poor rural communities where the schools don't have enough of a property tax base. They say, well, that's somebody else's problem. We don't have to worry about it. Well, let me tell you something. Every child is our problem. Every child is our responsibility. Every child is our child. That's the attitude I want us to have all across America. And if we have that attitude, then we can make progress. We can invest in early childhood education to close the achievement gap and make sure every child is prepared when they start school. I won't just talk about how great teachers are. I will reward them for their greatness by giving them higher salaries and giving them more support. I want the highest standards for our classrooms because our children had to compete with children in China and India, which means, by the way, that money is not the only thing that's going to solve this problem. We're going to have to change our attitudes, and students are going to have to work harder. Parents, you've got to turn off the TV set and put away the video games and teach your child to excel in education. So I want the highest standards, but I don't want those standards measured solely by a single high-stakes standardized test, because I want children to learn art and music and poetry and literature and all the things that go into a good education. And I don't know about you, but I think it's about time we made college affordable for everybody in America. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a $4,000 tuition credit. Every student, every year. But you know what, students? You're going to have to give something back in return. You're going to have to spend some time in community service or national service. If you work in a homeless shelter, work in a veteran's home, join the Peace Corps, learn a foreign language, join the Foreign Service. We'll invest in you, you invest in America. Together we'll march this country forward if you're ready for change.